And while flying here on today, I was mindful of something that happened in the New Testament, whereby the people came to Jesus as the sun was going down, just as it is in Trinidad on tonight. The sun is going down, and Jesus had been teaching all day. And the disciples got worried and they got nervous, and they said, "Master, we don't have what it takes to feed them. Send them away." And Jesus said, "No, I can't send the people away. I've got to feed them. I've got to take care of them. I cannot just preach to them." And they said, "What do we have?" And Jesus said, "Give me what you have." And they said, "All we can come up with out of 5,000 people, all we can come up with is 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread." That's not even the miracle that I really want to underscore. It's how Jesus turned those 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread into enough to feed the 5,000. That's not even the miracle where I focus. The miracle that I focus on is that after he fed all of them, he gave the disciples the task: go and pick up the leftovers. There were 12 baskets left over. I need you to hear me very carefully. In that next chapter, Jesus gets on the boat, and when he gets on the boat, he asks them, "What did you bring?" And they only brought 1 fish sandwich. They left all the leftovers right there in the park. Why would Jesus, who has all knowledge, who has all wisdom, has all understanding, why would Jesus, I'm grateful, I don't know if you all saw that testimony, somebody just got hired for a $14 an hour job. I'm glad that happened for your friend. Why would Jesus create an overflow that he starts with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, for him to in fact keep breaking it until there's enough for the 5,000? Why would he do it enough for 12 baskets left over? Prophetess Fox, is the easy way out to talk about the overflow, to talk about the abundance. The revelation that God gave me is this. He said, "Jamal, sometimes you've got to prepare for people who will eat your food but won't eat at your table." You just missed that. Sometimes you have got to prepare to feed people who will eat your food but not eat at your table. God will bless you in such an overwhelming capacity that the Spirit of Christ compels you to feed people who don't have table etiquette. You have a responsibility of being a follower of Christ, of blessing people who do not have table etiquette. As a consequence, you've got to feed people, watch this, who do not know how to use a napkin. And because they don't know how to use a napkin, they don't know how to wipe their mouth. They'll eat with all of the food coming out, not knowing that they are messing up the very source of what was blessing them. Not only do you have to feed people who don't know how to use a napkin, regrettably, part of your Christ-like responsibility is to feed people who only know how to eat with a knife. They have absolutely no idea that for applesauce, a spoon is appropriate. But because they have only learned how to fight, they don't know how to eat. My dear friends, we come at an hour that because we live in an alleged Christian community, we expect everybody to agree with us. We expect everybody to want a seat at our table. And you don't know that the call of Christ sometimes is to put you in a place where you have to feed people who don't know how to use a napkin and only know how to use a knife. It is amazing that one of the taboos within our community is that we never give full redress to mental health. Is that many times in church we talk about saving our souls, but sometimes we do it at the neglect of people who are losing their minds. A charge to keep we have and a God to glorify, that you can in fact have a saved soul, a broken heart, and a contaminated mind. But because you operate in the grace of God, your responsibility is understanding that the transformation does not come from out of your mouth. The transformation comes from how you can help change people's minds. I'm appreciative of the privilege to serve, and that knowing that the bounty and the burden of serving is knowing that you cannot in fact just be a chef and sometimes not be a waiter. You've got to be able to clean up mess you didn't create. You've got to learn how to set the table for people who don't know which fork to use. You've got to know how to pour, even when people don't know that they've already had enough. This is the hour, ladies and gentlemen, that if in fact you are a Christian, allow your actions to speak louder than your words. It is my hope, it is my aim, it is my intention that since God has anointed me to anoint and in fact speak and impart to a generation who has never been able to sit at a table, but a generation who has in fact been reared to eat out of a paper bag, that sometimes Psalm 23 is the only thing appropriate. He prepares a table in the presence of your enemies. And so I say to our young people, I say to those of you who have never had the privilege of five-star dining, don't know to eat all the way from the left and go to the right, don't know the difference between a steak knife and a butter knife, might I say to you that sometimes your greatest lesson of your anointing is when to walk away.